Hey, this is Lucky Starpie, World of Tanks console community contributor. This is a random Chieftain game that I had where I noticed my approach was very different from what I normally see people play. I've noticed that a lot of people have a set strategy for every map, and how they approach the start of the game defines where they're going to go and what they're going to play. I find myself tending to do the same thing over and over as well, and we all know what it feels like to watch when the team does, the opposite of that, and we're like, oh, what are they doing? I don't understand what they're doing. And I'm trying to find ways to break out of that rigidity. The map is Muravanka, and we all know that the bulk of the team will hang out on the western hills over on that side, the left side. Today I could see that everyone was spreading out in the usual format, so I decided that I would try something new and run directly down the middle. I find that when I'm on the western flank, I'll try to peek around the hills, and sometimes I end up on the edge of the town in the center, and that offers a lot of protection in the form of buildings, where you can see I'm literally moving up one building at a time to move closer to the enemy. The buildings are relatively spaced apart, but there's constant stuff in between. So if I was being targeted by artillery, I don't think it would be as viable of an option, but since everyone seems to be relatively ignoring me, I can knock over everything and not have to worry about it. And even if artillery were to look in my direction, there's constant two-story buildings everywhere, which is very cool. So as you can see, I'm peeking over into the western flank, where a lot of times the enemy team will be technically exposed from the side because no one ever goes to the middle. Of course, I miss every single shot on light tanks. It's part of the course. But unlike when I'm where the bulk of my team is at E2, I have actual variety of options to choose from as targets, which was nice, which means that I'm not just waiting for one guided peek. I find that when you're in a situation where you have to wait several minutes for that one option to show himself, you kind of you end up playing a time game, whereas every second you're not firing, the enemy team could be making progress somewhere else. So if you wait too long, you might not be able to do enough to make a difference. That guy was sitting at his base. I thought he was AFK. I think he was AFK until I shot him, honestly. Now, another thing that I noticed from over here is they can't really rush my location. Also, I have like a buddy that joined me, which was pretty cool. Because if they were to rush over here, we can easily get behind the buildings, and the team that we have amassed at F1 and F2 could easily just peek over and shoot them while they're in the open. So the enemy team's kind of stuck to the hills over there as well. And luckily I wasn't really being shot from the eastern flank because they were too busy wiping out the couple guys we had over there. The tanks that are over on that side, I didn't check while playing, but are a bit slower, and I think honestly they did the best they could. Now, every shot that I absorb or dodge where the enemy team is shooting me, as you can see, my team can just take better position on that F line on the western flank. So technically we're losing the eastern flank, but the majority of our team is still alive. But sometimes this works out and sometimes it doesn't, because sometimes the enemy force on the opposite flank can cap out or come back around, and you kind of get scattered a bit. They found us. Ready to fire on target. We've lost. But for the most part, now it's just shooting fish in a barrel. If you notice, we have the majority of the remainder of their team stuck in like a 3x3 square block, and that's it. Like, we've literally been pushing them successfully from the center and the side, which I've always been told don't go to the center on maps like this because it's just a death trap. Also, I totally wanted to ram kill that guy, just saying. So I'm not recommending that everyone suddenly start pushing through the center, because if my team hadn't taken the western flank the way that they did, I would not have had the safety that I did when pushing. If the enemy team was up on those hills, by like F2, K2, then they would have been just shooting me like fish in a barrel. But I just thought this game was really interesting, a way to show how you can be successful in applying a strategy that isn't the normal strategy that everyone seems to talk about. And leaving your comfort zone can sometimes show you places that you didn't even realize your tank could do well in. Another point I want to note is that my tank is relatively maneuverable. So if that area had been a horrible disaster, I'd be able to, extricate myself like a lot easier. Whereas if I was like a mouse, I don't know what I would do. It's the reason I don't play a mouse, so.
We've been detected. Great job.
All in all, my team pretty much just swept through them, which was really, really nice. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about my game and watching me on Muravanka. Well, this was me trying a new type of video. Let me know what you think in the comments below about my gameplay, about the style of video, and we'll see you out there, Commander.